do clients, you work with a lot of clients, and you've been a CMO like 10 times. What do companies not understand about talking to prospects?
Hello, Dean. Good to see you again. What do they not understand about talking to prospects? Well, some companies are very over rotated on their own products. And so the way they communicate tend to be like product selfies. Like
What does over
sure,
rotated mean?
they are decked against the products they sell
Hmm.
versus the needs that customers have.
Right.
So instead of talking about all the products and features and benefits that you have, it's important when talking to prospects to understand what are their needs? What are the jobs they're trying to get done? What are the pain points that they have? Because it may point to one or more of your products, or it may point to something else. But if you don't understand the jobs they're trying to get done, and if specific products can't help them get their jobs done easier, faster, more accurately, better, then you're probably not going to close something anyway. So you're wasting your time just, transmitting product selfies, whether we're talking about marketing or talking to prospects, if that makes sense.
You talk to a lot of companies, you talk to a lot of CMOs, and uh, what are some of the biggest shifts you're seeing in 2025 around marketing strategy or marketing priorities?
Less is more,
Yeah.
getting more targeted, doing a better job understanding your ideal customer profile and not trying to go after the ocean, not trying to boil the ocean, but being really specific about how your products are remarkable to smaller segments of customers that'll really care because you understand the problems they've faced. You've seen it many, many times. You know how to solve them, and you can have a conversation with them or, you know, transmit a value proposition to them that really makes sense. That's one thing. Another is there more and more interest and value around having intent information to know when prospects are actually in market because they may be a good prospect, just not now. So, you know, you need to nurture prospects until they're ready. And the third thing is marketing isn't just about new prospects and new logos. It should be about creating a remarkable customer experience, whether the CMO has responsibility for that or a chief customer officer. It's really important to understand, assuming you're going after um, prospects that are a really good fit for you in terms of an ideal customer profile, you want to keep them, you want to retain them, and you want to grow them. And companies' future financial performance is really correlated to once they reach a certain point and they have products and they have customers, your net revenue retention and your advocate customers that bring you new business. If you tie those two together, add those two together, that's a very large part of your future financial performance. That's something CFOs
Right.
need to understand as well, because the financial data is in the rear view mirror. If you want to look ahead and you want to look to the future, you need to really understand how to drive your net revenue retention, gross and net revenue retention, and advocates to get new business. That's really important. And I think becoming more important. So in the past, you didn't see a lot of marketing organizations that had customer marketing. I think they're beginning to realize it's more and more important that marketing doesn't stop just at new logos.
Okay, so the last few years, right? Economy's been up, the economy's been down, the economy's been sideways, right? How is the economy right now influencing marketing budgets and marketing priorities at companies?
Up until now, this past year, there's been a
Mhm.
strain on marketing budgets
Mm,
because of headwinds in the economy. I work a lot with private equity portfolio companies that are probably companies, mid to high market, so anywhere from half a billion into the billions. And private equity, because of the increased interest rates, their cost of capital has been higher, and there's been pressure on budgets of their portfolio companies. Now that the Fed is starting to drop rates, and they just dropped by 0.5 point, which was huge. And once we get over the election, because there's a lot of uncertainty with the election, obviously. So I think those are the two big factors. But private equity has a lot of what's called dry powder, meaning money they want to invest in, new portfolio companies and upgrading their portfolio companies. And with a lower cost of capital in the election behind us, I think 2025 is going to be a much better year for investment. I think we're going to see things take off again. So up until now, with the pressure on marketing budgets, it's been really important for CMOs to understand what things to cut, what things they can cut and get more productive, like, all the content that isn't being looked at and used, which is usually 70% of the content that's been historically created, consolidating agencies and consolidating the MarTech stack, because MarTech stacks have become bloated and you want to just have stuff that is really useful. So that stuff you can cut, but the smart ones will also increase their investments in things like customer management and creating a great customer experience, and getting intent information to know when prospects are actually in market. So I think it's been a rebalancing, and obviously there was a rebalancing of trade shows after COVID because nobody traveled, and so you had all those savings, and you had to rebalance that when people started, traveling again and going to trade shows. So I think I'm very bullish on 2025. I think it's going to be a much better year.
You talked about tighter budgets, right? Are there any sort of tactics that are delivering or like really good ROI right now?
It depends on the company. What's often overlooked, especially with SaaS software companies and recurring revenue businesses, are ways to reduce churn. If you can reduce the churn and you understand what's causing it and you can peel that onion back, that's an area marketing hasn't historically been involved in, but is huge because it not only helps your current performance in your current year, but your lifetime value in out years. So that's kind of related to, picking the right customers you're going to keep, or understanding your ideal customer profile, but then understanding the causes of churn and there'll always be churn with companies moving around, people moving around, all of that. But isolating those causes of churn that are controllable, where you can do something with it, having a really good listening process for customer satisfaction and dissatisfaction, like Net Promoter Score. And, Net Promoter Score has really developed a lot to NPS 3.0, and really understanding what your customers are saying, but also acting on it, and not just focusing on what your NPS number is, but how do you improve it? So those are some areas that can give you a lot of ROI, in addition to becoming more operationally efficient in marketing, with your MarTech stack, with your content, understanding when prospects are in markets, you're not wasting a lot of time marketing to people that aren't ready. So all of those things help productivity, but overall helping productivity and financial performance, you have to think about your customer and the areas that touch them and how you can make them more, how you can create more advocates and lower churn.
Are there any channels or platforms or tools, or types of media that you think are going to be just critical in 2025?
There are so many. There are thousands of, MarTech and sales tech tools,
No.
I'll say
they're not all going to be critical, though.
No, they're not. And, I'm not an expert on which ones are going to be more critical, but I'll tell you something analog. With all the digital stuff out there and everybody's trying to get your digital mind share, is anybody sending like a handwritten note anymore? Or a 3D direct mailer, or things that actually touch people and might create emotions in people? I mean, even a very nice handwritten note, a thank you and gift, something. I don't mean something cutesy. I mean something something real and something felt and something, but that would be my advice for next year. Get human again. I'm not an expert in all the thousands of, MarTech. Obviously you want to have good intent data. You want to have, whether it's 6 Sense or something else, and you want to know how to use it, and you want to actually not just get the technology, but be able to leverage it. But I think going back to basics, even in B2B, people buy from people, and there's emotional element. And if you can connect with people, the people you want to connect with, I mean, I've done things in the past, 3D direct marketing programs that have created huge returns because they were different. And it's about being different. It's about breaking through. And there's a lot of digital noise to break through these days. So try something different. That would be my advice.
What challenges are companies facing, you think, when it comes to finding great marketing people to hire right now?
There are a lot of great marketing people on the market.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there are challenges from a couple different angles. One is what does the CEO think marketing is? And what are the expectations of the CEO? Because you want to hire someone that meets the expectations, but oftentimes everybody thinks they know marketing, and a lot of times the expectations aren't clear, which, you may hire someone, but may not be a lot of longevity if there isn't a good connection there. That's number one. Number two, there are different types of marketing people. There are marketing people that have been agencies. There are marketing people that are demand. There's some, I like to say myself, I'm a combination of brand, demand, customer.
Mm-hmm.
And so really understanding what you're looking for. One of the issues is many companies have over-rotated on demand. They view marketing as a coin-operated demand engine. And that's not marketing. That's part of it. But brand seeds demand. And a lot of companies may not want to invent in brand because they're more amorphous. You can't see immediate returns. But if you look at the percent of companies that are on short lists with the C-suite, the ones that know the brand are the ones that are on the short list. So there's definitely value in brand, and brand is an intangible asset on the balance sheet. So, brand is actually an asset. So, a mix of brand, demand, customer experience, I think is, and being the kind of the convener in chief, bringing, getting cross-functional alignment are areas that CMOs need to be involved in today. Some are well set up to do that, and some may not be, depending on their background. Do they have an agency background? They're primarily creative. Do they have a demand and operational background, or they're mainly analytical? You want to find someone that does both, but that is predicated on the CEO having good understanding of what marketing should be and creating the right expectations. Does that help?
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about brands then. How are brands balancing the need for immediate sales these days with long-term brand building?
Well, building brands, you generally don't get immediate sales. It's over time. It's longer term investment. You can do brand studies that will tell you, do people know your brand? What's how do they feel about your brand reputation? What do they associate when they hear your name? How much do they engage with you? You can look at all of those things, which will affect your success in sales and your demand success. But putting money into brand and expecting it to come out, in the next couple of quarters is a fool's errand. You really need to understand the long-term implications of the relationship between brand and demand. So you can set up some metrics to help you track that, but expecting immediate results from brand activities could happen, but it's very rare that it will happen.
What are some common mistakes you think that companies are making in their marketing strategies lately?
Common mistakes. As I mentioned, over-rotating on demand, not considering brand, not considering the customer relationship. marketing only involved in new logos and not involved in upsell, cross-sell, retention, some of those areas. People thinking that campaigns are really, what should be tactics versus an integrated initiative that balances brand reputation, demand growth, customer engagement, and sales productivity and enablement. And they should be integrated activities that leverage all of those areas. And they should be much longer term, not a quarterly campaign, because one of the mistakes is you change things every quarter. It doesn't give enough time for the campaign to work. So you want to have fewer, bigger, more integrated campaigns that will help you grow your business. That's one area. And your question was, what are some of the mistakes? Or yeah, focusing so much on demand, not focusing on your current customers. A lot of companies have issues with alignment, where marketing, sales, product, and customer success are not aligned, and they need to be. So that really impacts productivity. Actually, companies that are well aligned and stay aligned, according to a study of 400 B2B companies, grow 15% faster and are 19% more profitable. So there's a huge impact of being well aligned and staying well aligned. And not understanding the customer process and what they go through, and really pushing products instead of understanding customer needs and pain points, and bringing in the products that are relevant to the needs and the jobs they're trying to get done, at the point where you're having a conversation with the customer and you understand what they're looking for.
What do you think is underrated right now, and what's overrated right now? Or they're too focused on or not focused enough?
They're too focused on demand, not focused enough on brand, not focused on customer management, not focused on creating a remarkable customer experience, not focused enough on understanding and mitigating the causes of churn, especially for recurring revenue models and SaaS software companies. Underestimating the difficulty of integrating acquisitions and the tech debt and the other debt that you'll have over time, and how you deal with that. Not when you're doing acquisitions, not doing enough marketing due diligence, so you really understand the cultures and the MarTech stacks and how you would put them together, because it's not trivial to integrate Salesforce instances and marketing automation instances. It takes a long time and effort to do that. And not doing enough customer due diligence before you decide to invest in a company, to understand how customers are going to react to an acquisition. The cultural thing is really often very difficult with M&A. Getting the culture right, making everybody feel that it's the right thing, and not making anybody the underdog. Oftentimes people say, "Oh, this is a merger. We're not acquiring you." But then the reality of, you look at the management team that survives. I mean, you have to be very careful with how you do acquisitions, because a lot of them fail. A lot of them, you don't get what you're looking to get out of them. So really going into it with a lot of due diligence up front to make sure it's the right thing.
How important do you think is creativity versus data-driven decision-making in today's marketing?
I think they're both critical. I think it's like CMOs, I've blogged on this, need to be like an orchestra conductor. You need to have breakthrough creativity like jazz, and you need to have analytical precision like classical, and you need to be able to put them together. So you need to be able to be productive but creative, especially in this market and economy with so much digital stuff everywhere. It's more difficult to be remarkable and break through to customers. So you need the creativity to do that, to look at what your messaging is going to be, how you're going to break through, what your tactics are, what your marketing channels are to meet your prospects and customers where they are. what they're really going to view as relevant and marketable and remarkable. But then you need to be on the other side. You need to be efficient and data driven and understand what's working and what's not. You need to have a culture of experimentation and try different things and, fail quickly and then modify, because that's usually the only way to find the right path.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe.